You were the very first, even before me, I think. Anyway, welcome. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. The hurricane that was supposed to wipe out San Diego kind of fizzled out. Other than in East County, I have to admit that East San Diego County, past the mountains and the low-lying areas and the desert, they got hit pretty hard. Palm Springs turned into a lake. So, depending on where you were, you might have really got slammed. But as far as San Diego goes, everything and anything west of like Laguna Mountain, we were fine. It's a nothing burger. No reason to go stock up on toilet paper. It's funny, I heard somewhere, I don't know where, that Costco in Carmel Mountain ran out of bottled water and toilet paper. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, what's with the toilet paper anyway? When the COVID scare happened, everybody bought toilet paper. It's like, what are you guys thinking about? Anyway, enough of the politics. Tonight is going to be volume 2, part 4 of the lovely and talented Melissa Eggy. I think we will never be done with her. She was the so-called child abuse pediatrician in Miss Rafalina Duvall's case against County Los Angeles. She, like so many other of these so-called child abuse experts, is just a moron. But, I guess that's just an opinion. Maybe she's not a moron after all. She did go to medical school and pass some kind of exam. I'm not sure how hard that exam actually is, though. I mean, look how many doctors there are. So it can't be that tough. There's almost, in fact, there may even be more of them than there are lawyers, frankly. So it can't be that hard. Anyway, notes from James. PayPal donate link for anyone who doesn't want to donate through YouTube. He is begging out there for some donations. Anything and everything helps. Please do donate. See what we got. Yeah, but Aaron, you didn't go out and overstock on toilet paper, did you? If you did, I'll be really disappointed, but I imagine you did not. Filling up the gas tank, that's kind of common sense. Getting an extra case of bottled water, that's common sense. Power could go down, things could happen. But toilet paper, I mean, come on. What the fuck is somebody going to do with 20,000 rolls of toilet paper in a hurricane? They're not going to help you float. It's like, I don't know. So please tell me you did not go out and stock up on frickin' toilet paper. That said, Patreon subscribers, remember we got a lot of work product up on Patreon, a lot of templates, a lot of lawn motion, a lot of briefing, discovery, all kinds of stuff up on Patreon. It's relatively cheap, so I think it's very worth it, frankly. We've also, for the top tier, we've added a depot prep guide to Patreon. I think he may also have that available. He went out and bought some new eyelashes. That's funny. Dump the eggy omelet in the trash. Next opponent, please. You got to send that to James. And speaking of which, anybody who wants to communicate with the Mr. James should do so and can do so at capsandstemslaw@gmail.com. That's capsandstemslaw@gmail.com. I'm sure he would love to hear from you. Also, if you develop any questions, either in this video or any other video that's on the channel, please do send them into capsandstemslaw@gmail.com, and we'll respond to them during the week, during the lives. For those of you who are not yet Patreon subscribers, good night, Evan. You should be, and that's where you go to get on. It's www.patreon.com/CAPSNSTEMS. Join us there. With that and no further ado, we will hit Melissa Eggy, Volume 2, Part 4. She's going to be 30 minutes long. Oh, my God. 30 minutes of this crap. Okay, so 30 minutes long. And yes, I will try to insinuate myself in each deposition clip whenever I come up with stuff that I think might be useful, entertaining, or interesting for you. So let's get with it. Bam.
And what variables go into the sophistication of the resident based on your knowledge, training, and experience?
Their knowledge, training, experience in genetics.
Okay. And do you know if this resident would be doing a rotation through this discipline?
Objection, speculation.
I don't know.
Do you know if residents do rotate through the genetics lab?
Objection, speculation.
They do. Lab, clinic.
Thank you, clinic. Okay, so I'll rephrase it to make sure it comports with your terminology. So residents do round through the genetics clinic.
Correct.
And do you know if that's a requirement by all residents?
It is not.
It's elective?
Yes.
Does the information before you in any way suggest whether or not Dr. Jonas actually examined RD on this occasion?
Well, he documented patient seen.
Does that suggest to you that Dr. Jonas saw the patient?
Yes.
It doesn't suggest to you that the resident saw the patient?
It does suggest to me that the resident saw the patient.
Fair, let me make that question clear. If the resident prepared the plan and performed the assessment, of course, he'd have to see the patient. So I'm just trying to understand from this note, to the extent you can offer us based on your experience, does it suggest to you that the overseeing physician would be able to rely on the work of the resident, or does the physician have to actually assess the patient directly?
What happens is the resident goes in first and takes the history, does the exam, presents the patient to Dr. Jonas, and then Dr. Jonas goes back with the resident to see the patient and meet the family for himself.
And I'm going to make a belated objection, calls for speculation.
Okay. I'm not sure if I asked this question. If I did, please let me know. Forgive me. Do you recognize Dr. Jonas's writing?
Yes.
And I believe, just to be clear, having read the actual narrative on the genetics clinic note, do you believe the resident authored all that information with the exception of the vitals across the top?
I can't say for sure.
Okay. Having reviewed the narrative section of the note, would you agree that it is not Dr. Jonas's writing based on your comprehension of his writing?
Actually, I think some of this may have been written by Dr. Jonas, but I can't be sure.
Which portions of the note do you suspect were written by Dr. Jonas, other than the portion we discussed on the bottom right side of the page?
The cupped ears, prominent. I'm not sure.
Anything else on that line you believe was written by Dr. Jonas?
I don't know what was written by Dr. Jonas.
Okay. We had some discussion yesterday about the requirement to have a writing to refer RD to the genetic clinic, correct?
Yes.
All right. We've discussed page 95 and the writing there on the note that you signed. I believe a moment ago you testified that additional information would still be required to actually make the referral to the genetics clinic. Is that accurate?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah. We've already discussed in detail the to-do plan on page 95, correct?
Yes.
What I'm asking is there any additional writing that's required to actually refer RD to the genetic clinic for evaluation?
I don't think so.
So based on this note, would your staff in some way make contact with the genetics clinic and make the referral?
Yes.
Can you describe to your knowledge how that process works?
From my knowledge, I would call the genetics clinic coordinator and ask to refer a patient.
You personally,
Yes.
not your staff?
Usually myself.
Okay. And what type of information is exchanged during this telephone call?
Name, medical record number, contact information from the parents, and a reason for referral.
The reason being the medical justification?
Yes.
Is the plan discussed?
No.
Are there any outcomes or goals discussed at that time?
Well, a plan might be discussed if I had add-on labs. So in that regard, but not regarding the genetics plan.
And do you make recommendations separate and apart from the testing you've already listed here?
No.
And again, you're unable to locate any note in Exhibit 3 that documents the results of the genetic testing, with the exception of the reference to the CGH. I think you documented being normal, correct?
I didn't document it being normal.
Let me draw your attention to Exhibit 2, the letter that you drafted to the Department of Child and Family Services. We're going to look at page 1658 on the bottom.
1658.
Yeah, the previous page.
Okay.
And we're going to flip, so. The last paragraph is, since RD's weight gain has been suboptimal, even after placement with Mr. Mills for 6 months, we have done some laboratory testing to screen for additional causes of his FTT, correct?
Correct.
Is that reference to the genetic testing?
It's probably in reference to all the testing.
So that would include the genetic testing.
Yes.
And that line is suggestive to you then that whatever the test results were, once you reviewed them and received them, they were normal.
It reads, the testing done to evaluate his nutritional status appears to be normal. To date, all testing for potential GI illnesses as well as thyroid and immunological deficiencies has been normal. And I don't comment on the genetics test results here.
So one should not read that first line about we have done some laboratory testing to screen for additional causes of his FTT as genetic testing.
You could interpret it that way.
Do you recall if you had that in mind as you wrote that sentence?
I don't recall.
And I realize, someone could interpret things lots of different ways. To your recollection sitting here today, do you have an understanding of what you meant to say when you authored that statement?
Beyond what it says, no.
Okay. Well, based on what you just said then, if we re-examine page 1659, where it says, in addition, the genetics consultants agree that RD's poor weight gain and global delays are likely due to his poor nutrition in the past, that sentence does not comment upon the findings of any genetic testing, correct?
Correct.
So, based upon your read of the last sentence on 1658 going into 1659, does that cause you to reconsider your statements about the results of the genetic testing as defined on page 1659 in that paragraph? Let me just put it this way. It's true that you do not document on page 1659 that the genetic testing reached normal results, correct?
Correct.
You simply document that the person we now know as Dr. Jonas has agreed with your assessment that RD's poor weight gain and global delays are likely due to his poor nutrition in the past.
Correct.
Okay. When you make the telephone call to the the coordinator for the genetics clinic, is that documented in your chart notes anywhere?
It may or may not be.
So let's ask you to take a moment and review Exhibit 3 to see if you can find a documented event where you called the coordinator.
I don't see any documentation here.
Okay. Let me ask you to flip the package over to the first page. Thank you very much. Let me have you examine the July 31st, 2014 note. It's a billing note, correct?
I guess so.
Have you ever reviewed this type of note before?
No.
So you're unable to help us understand some of the components on this bill, correct?
Correct.
Okay. There was some discussion about RD's weight when you first encountered him, correct?
Yes.
Based on your experience inside of the 5 cases, when the patient is offered proper nutrition for an infant at 15 months, does the infant normally start gaining weight?
Objection, incomplete hypothetical, speculation.
Each case is unique.
Okay. Based on your assessment of RD,
Yes.
is there any reason, in your opinion, why once he was offered proper nutrition, he would continue to maintain a failure to thrive condition?
Yes.
What?
Multiple illnesses acquired.
What illnesses are you speaking of?
H1N1 is one of the major illnesses. He acquired multiple ear infections, viral gastroenteritis.
And if you take a look at exhibit number 3, is there any medical substantiation of the H1N1 condition?
There was.
Can you direct me to what page that would be on?
It's pages 41, 42, 43. The test confirmation is on 45.
Okay, I'm on page 45 to start with,
Okay.
since that's where you left off. Can you please direct my attention to where on page 45 there is confirmation?
Upper left-hand corner, rapid flu, done at 17:20, positive.
Okay. That is the result. Is there any type of value reported on this page?
No, it's rapid test. It's positive or negative.
And this was performed at the Harbor UCLA Clinic.
Yes.
Do you know what type of flu this report is documenting? For example, does it differentiate between avian flu, swine flu, any other type of flu?
Well, I'm familiar with the test that was done, and I don't see that in the documentation. They documented whether it was type A or B.
I'm sorry, let me try and better understand that. So let's focus on page 45 for 1 second. We have a positive finding for a rapid flu test, correct?
Yes.
Are there different types of confirmations for rapid flu testing?
Objection vague and ambiguous.
Is that clear? I'll rephrase it. Does the rapid, well, strike that. The rapid flu noted on page 45, does it specify what type of flu they were checking for?
No.
Can you ascertain specifically what type of flu this test was checking for based on this note?
No.
All right. So you couldn't say if it was H1N1 or some type of flu, correct?
I'm still looking around here, but
Okay, I understand, but
I don't see it.
I got it. A moment ago you testified, though, that you believe that this chart note was confirmation of the H1N1 virus.
True.
So now we've established that it's a confirmation of flu, but we've yet to understand what strain, correct?
Correct.
All right. So if we go back, I think you said 41, correct?
41 is the first note from the ER record.
Okay. Looking at page 41, where does it document a positive finding of flu symptoms?
This is flu symptoms.
Yeah.
Vital signs temperature is 39.9, which is a very high fever. Flu symptoms: fever, cough, congestion, decreased intake, no rashes, no vomiting, no diarrhea. That's it.
Okay. Is there anywhere on this note that confirms which type of flu this individual could be suffering?
Not that I see.
All right. And I'm going to ask the same kind of questions for 42 through 45. Having just established that 45 doesn't determine what type of flu strain it is, did you want to go back and revisit your testimony about pages 42 through 44? Do they confirm the strain?
It did not confirm a strain.
Okay. So it's accurate to say that this information confirmed that the child suffered flu, but the records do not indicate what strain of flu.
Correct.
All right. So it's fair to say then that these records do not confirm the existence of an H1N1 virus.
They suggest it, but do not confirm.
Right. But they could suggest other strains of flu as well.
Yeah.
All right. And if you had the lab results in front of you, we'd have a much more definitive statement, correct?
Possibly. I'm not sure that would be reported in the lab results, though, because this rapid test is done in the emergency room and not in the lab.
I see. So does it affect the patient's treatment depending on the type of flu strain they suffer?
No.
So from your standpoint, documenting the strain of flu is not clinically significant
Correct.
because it doesn't change the treatment.
Correct.
So to your knowledge, is there anywhere else in the records where you would expect to find confirmation of the H1N1 virus if RD suffered it?
if anyone did confirmation testing, it would be in the lab results.
I understand. And given the fact it doesn't change the treatment, would your expectation be that a subsequent physician would seek to confirm the H1N1 virus or would not need to confirm it because it doesn't change the treatment?
Okay, hold on. I need to let you guys know. Homemade Russian mulberry ice cream. Doesn't that look yummy? Made this myself yesterday. Yum.
The physician would not need to confirm it.
I see. So if we had the lab values in front of us, it sounds like your expectation would be confirmation of a flu strain, but we would never probably have exact confirmation of the strain.
I wouldn't expect it.
So that would be a yes?
Objection, speculation.
I
Just-
need to hear the question again to
Let's read
say
it.
yes.
Let's read it back.
So if we had the lab values in front of us, it sounds like your expectation would be confirmation of a flu strain, but we would never probably have exact confirmation of the strain.
I would not expect to see a flu positive result in the lab results.
Okay, let's cover that. Am I to understand your testimony then that you said you would not expect to find a positive finding of flu?
In the labs.
I see, because you relied on the the rapid test
Correct.
done in the ER.
Correct.
Right.
Can we take a quick break?
No.
Okay, this is the end of video number 1 in volume number 2. We are now off the record at 10:57. We are now on the record at 11:09. This is the beginning of video number 2 in volume number 2.
We were talking about the conditions that may impede RD's weight gain after being offered proper nutrition, correct?
Correct.
And we discussed that there were a number of diseases that he was exposed to that may impact his ability, correct?
Yes.
And would you agree that those were, well, let me back up this way. We have our two large categories under failure to thrive, organic and non-organic, correct?
Correct.
So to the extent we can put these diseases in one of those two broad categories, would you agree these diseases are organic contributors to the failure to thrive condition?
Objection, big and ambiguous.
Do you understand the question?
The infectious diseases.
Yes.
They would be contributors in the environmental category.
How so?
Well, they're sort of factors that are contributing to his inability to eat, but they don't imply that he has something wrong with his body that can't accept food, processed food.
Right, but with regard to the infectious disease, they're not within the control of the caretaker, correct?
Sure. Yes.
So what I'm trying to establish is that if RD suffered an infectious disease that may limit his ability to benefit from nutrition, that would normally be on the control of a caretaker.
Right.
And I'm sorry, we discussed H1N1, and the other two conditions I think you mentioned were
Ear infections and viral gastroenteritis.
and what is a good lay term for viral gastroenteritis?
Stomach flu.
Thank you. Okay. Now with ear infections, is it true that they're partly, or strike that, the child's actual size of the ear canal, things of that nature, contribute to the child's potential to acquire an ear infection?
The size of the ear canal?
Yep.
No.
Do you believe that the physiology and anatomy of a child may contribute to the presence or absence of ear infections?
Yes.
And that's beyond the control of a parent.
Correct.
With stomach flu, that is one of the infectious diseases we were speaking about a moment ago, correct?
Yes.
And for the same reasons we discussed a moment ago, they are beyond the control of the parent.
Correct.
All right. Given all that you understand about RD when you last saw him, if he were offered proper nutrition, would your expectation be that he would return to a normal body weight or would maintain a subnormal body weight?
Objection vague and ambiguous as to time.
Well, we can break it down. But let's ask the question broadly first and see if you can answer it. Can you answer that question?
At the time I saw him, would I predict beyond that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, let's make it clearer, okay? Based on your knowledge, training, and experience as a physician who has experience with the failure to thrive condition, if RD were offered proper nutrition, would your expectation be he would return to a normal body weight?
Objection vague and ambiguous as to time and age of RD.
You can answer the question if you understand it.
I think that's difficult to predict.
What factors go into making that difficult to predict?
Objection speculation.
Well, I'm not in the position to predict
I understand.
the
What-
trajectory.
Right, what you're saying is that if you could tell the future, you'd win the lottery already.
True.
Okay. But based on your knowledge, experience, training as a physician, you are in a position where you are requested to make prognoses and forecasts regarding the health of your patients, right?
To a certain extent.
That would be a yes?
Sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes it's still yes, right?
Yes.
All right. I understand that this is not a perfect science and that what you're using is your past experience to guide your expectation for a current patient, correct?
Correct.
So based on your past experience in this discipline with a multitude of Failure to Thrive patients, is it your experience that, let's just say on average, when a patient is being denied proper nutrition for environmental reasons, when they are provided proper nutrition, they go from a suboptimal weight to an optimal weight?
Objection speculation.
Do you understand the question?
Vague and ambiguous.
Are we talking about RD or just kids in general?
You've testified that you haven't got a crystal ball. So we're starting with in general first, and then we'll
Okay.
become more specific. So in general, can you answer that question?
In general, if the only factor playing a role in a child's failure to thrive is inadequate nutrition, I would expect that introducing proper nutrition should allow return to normal weight.
Within what time frame for, say, a child between 12 and 24 months of age?
That really,
Objection speculation.
that really varies.
Can you give me a range? As well as estimate things that you're able to estimate if you can.
Same objection speculation.
An estimate could be anywhere from 2 months to 2 years.
Okay. Based on your time with RD, are you aware of any reasons why once he was afforded proper nutrition, he would maintain a suboptimal body weight?
Yes.
What reasons?
The multiple infections he acquired.
Okay.
That would be one reason.
Any other reasons?
Well, I don't know what kind of psychosocial stressors may have been contributing to infant nutrition at that time.
But the psychosocial stressors would implicate the child's willingness to eat. Is that true?
It could.
Any other factors that the psychosocial stressors are going to impact the child with?
I don't think so.
So, based on your experience, if RD were placed in an environment that had acceptable levels of psychosocial stress, because there's always stress, right? Yes?
Yes.
He was afforded proper nutrition, given the fact he's had multiple illnesses. Can you estimate whether or not his body weight should return to a normal range?
Objection vague and ambiguous speculation.
I can't estimate that,
Any reasons why you can't?
but he's old enough now we can find that out.
Okay. Do you know his body weight now?
No.
You were indicating that you were emailing with Mr. Mills approximately the last 12 months, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry you have to answer honestly. At any time when you were emailing Mr. Mills, did you inquire as to RD's body weight?
No.
Any reason why not?
I don't know.
Well, thank God that's over. I don't know about all of you, but for some reason, I just do not enjoy Dr. Aggie's depot. It's just so slow, so completely devoid of emotion or conflict, and just really kind of boring. But anyway, like most human beings, I too am drawn to emotion and conflict. And this is devoid of emotion and conflict. So it's slowly killing me. Hopefully, we'll be done with it by the end of the week. That's always the hope. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for joining tonight. We have no questions from Patreon or Caps and Stim, so I'm just going to go right to the outro. Thank you all for attending tonight's stream. Tomorrow will be Melissa Aggie Volume 2, Part 5. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, please do email them into capsandstemslaw@gmail.com. That's capsandstemslaw@gmail.com. We'll try and respond to them during the week. Remember, Patreon subscribers, that's another benefit. You basically get immediate on-tap access. Your questions, to the extent that you pose them using the messages tab in Patreon, will send a little email notification to me, and I get them right away. If I'm not too busy or tied up, I will get back to them right away. So that's another benefit of being a Patreon subscriber at any level. And the levels range from $3 a month to $32 a month, depending on what service you want. Just a reminder, if you look right below the video, there's a video description. If you click or tap show more, there are tons of links to catch up on or review past videos, as well as the all-important Patreon link. It's Rooker Feldman. Damn, that sucks. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do show your support by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We do hope, in the end, that the content we're providing you helps you navigate in some way through the challenges that you're facing. With that, I will say adieu. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Wait, there's a question. Caps and Stems, can you recall a remediator and use it like a habeas corpus or against my appellate counsel for ineffective assistance counsel? Simple answer is no. Remediator is not for that purpose. So no, you need to do a writ of habeas corpus or a writ of mandate to challenge your court-appointed attorney's conduct at the appellate level. So anyway, with that, I am out of here. You guys have, you can hear the fidget spinner. Yeah, I know. I found this in one of my drawers. I spent the weekend cleaning out my drawers, and I got this years and years ago from Veritext, and I still have it, and now I have it to play with again when I'm listening to that crazy woman, Melissa Aggie. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow.